Welcome to the Draft Central YouTube channel. I'm your host, Michael Alvaro. Today with me is Peter Williams. We're going to take you through a bit more coverage from the AFLW Under-19s Championships, of course, with the Allies squad this time around, who have New South Wales, the NT and Tasmania joining forces. But Pete, before we get stuck into all of the content ahead today, thank you for joining us. How are you today?
Yeah, really looking forward to getting stuck in. There's a lot of talented players on the Allies side, and just looking forward to getting stuck into some of those players and running through what we might expect at the championships.
Absolutely. So we're going to run you through, of course, all the fixtures, the squad strengths, 03 berths to watch, and maybe some of the underages and overages who will impress across the championship. So we're going to get stuck straight in. All right, so looking at the fixtures for this Allies squad, the revamped Allies squad this year, in round 2 of the National Championships, they take on Western Australia on April 12 at Avalon Airport Oval, and then the round 3 fixture sees them take on South Australia on April 15 at Trevor Barker Oval. So an oval quite close to us here, Peter. We know it's a good deck. Should be a couple of entertaining games there.
Yeah, really looking forward to the Allies being able to play against some of the top talents across the country. Obviously, as we sort of alluded to, it's hard for them to gel as a team. We know in past years they've had difficulties basically coming up and then having to pretty much get used to playing together straight away. We know they've got the talent, though, across the multiple states of Tasmania, New South Wales, ACT, and, of course, Northern Territory as well. So it's going to be great to see how they combine, and obviously the Northern Territory girls are joining up with what was previously the Eastern Allies. So they've got a bit more talent to add to that squad, and, when they come up against Western Australia up first on Monday, it's going to be great to see how they can compare to that state.
And a couple of really, really challenging tests there, of course. South Australia and Western Australia have already gone to battle against each other, with the South Aussies getting up by a goal in that game. So it should be a couple of tight contests. But in terms of the squad strengths, Pete, tell me, I know they're coming in as a bit of an unknown. We've only just seen the New South Wales academies play together officially and against each other, of course. What are you looking forward to seeing out of some of these players this year?
Yeah, for me, I think the speed and the outside run, as well as the contested marking, are some of the strengths for this team. They've got a fair few tools that are able to intercept and go forward, and then they've got that potential up forward as well, that are really capable of taking strong marks and potentially having shots on goal. Like, we'll mention a few shortly of players to watch, but their forward half is quite exciting, a lot of X factor, and of course the unpredictability, because none of the other states, even if they watch these players playing, could really predict how it's going to go, because obviously you've got players from all over the country. So it's going to be exciting to see how they combine. It's obviously a tough job for all the coaches and talent managers to try and gel them together, get them to meet, and then suddenly, bang, they've got to run out on a field together and get used to them. Obviously the different groups will be ready to combine with each other, the Tasmania, Northern Territory and the New South Wales ACT. But I think it'll be an exciting time for them to get used to it playing against other states.
And looking at some of these players, of course, Pete, we're going to look at the 2003 born players in their 18th year and obviously draft eligible. So we do have a few AFLW Academy members in this squad. We're going to start with Perry King, obviously from Tasmania. She's been really impressive this year in the NAB League.
Yeah, I think she's the standout in this team. There's a few others which we'll go through, obviously, but in terms of their consistency, look, Perry King's been the standout prospect for Tasmania throughout the year. As an 03 born, she's obviously ready to come up. She came through the academy for this year and became Tasmania's first goal kicker last year, which was a bit of history before the system closed off, or competition stopped. Look, she's got that smooth moving ability. She's able to burst out of a stoppage, win plenty of the ball. But what also stands out is most of the players that might have that extra bit of speed burst on the outside, she's also got high level tackling ability. She'll often lay double figure tackles and things like that. So she gets all the defensive work in there as well. Supports her teammates. So someone who really catches the eye doing that, a two-way runner, if you like. So definitely one to watch out of that midfield group.
And another player from the NAB League and the AFLW Academy, Ali Morford, has played for a couple sides, obviously Murray Bush Rangers, aligned to the GWS Giants Academy as well. So, been in action for a couple of sides there and been really impressive, obviously. Probably the premier ruck in this team, would you say?
Yeah, definitely. I think she'll start as that number one ruck. Can go forward as well if she wanted to play, have a bit of height down there, because they might have a couple of other rucks running around, but certainly she's got that strength, contested marking ability. She's just one of those rucks that covers the ground well because of her work rate and is able to clunk those big grabs, and she's a reasonable set shot as well. So she's someone who I think will be a great target forward, and being able to combine with other states, straight away that there's quite a few rucks that are capable of taking over that role. So she'll definitely have the strength and look to use that as an advantage when she comes up against the other states.
Absolutely. And from the GWS Giants Academy, move on to the Sydney Swans Academy, who had their hit out in the NAB League as well this year and got a win. Bit of an upset there against the Geelong Falcons. Jess Doyle is their leader and one of the premier, midfielders who can also roll forward in this team. Yeah,
she's going to be probably one of the ones I'm most looking forward to seeing because, as I said, I saw her playing against the Falcons down at Deakin University. It was a little wet there, so it'll be great to see her on a dry deck if weather permits, hopefully. She's very classy, very raw prospect, but, can take a grab, very good at ground level, quick, smart, uses really well. Isn't a experienced footballer as such. She did come from other sports backgrounds, but she is someone who has come on in leaps and bounds, and obviously that's why she got included the AFLW Academy. A real eye-catching prospect and someone who you just notice when she wins the ball, and she can create things in the forward half. I think between her and Perry King, it'll be a very exciting team moving the ball, and I think that they're going to be a couple of ones to really watch when it comes to maybe being that creative types in that forward half.
And you mentioned exciting. We've got Ashanti Bush next, obviously from the Northern Territory, who again had that really nice NAB League showing against the GWV Rebels. What are you expecting from her? She's played a bit of senior football up in the NT as well. How's she going to play in this side?
Yeah, she's someone who caught the eye in that All-Stars game last year. Obviously been playing well up in the NT for a little while now, but she caught the eye in that All-Stars game and then playing against the GWV Rebels, kicked a couple of goals in a minute. And I think what really catches the eye with Ashanti is the fact that she's able to have the strength to mark one-on-one, but also have the athleticism to move and that power to shrug off an opponent as well. So I think she's got quite a few tricks up her sleeve, and I think with a strong midfield and able to get the ball forward and put it to the right spots, she's going to be hard to beat one-on-one. So I think she'll be an exciting forward, and we mentioned about the forward X factor, which the Allies have, and she's a big part of that.
Pete, of course, it is an under-19 side, so who are some of those top-age players and maybe even the underages who are going to impress? Who are we looking out for in this team?
Yeah, so one that's one of the few that has played previously, along with Procopese at the championships before, is Jade Hamilton. Now, obviously, during that time, they were both that bottom age talent. They didn't get to play last year because it wasn't on. Jade Hamilton was one who got a draft combine invite last year. Has VFL women's experience with North Melbourne, played a couple of games there alongside her sister Lexi, who obviously went to Gold Coast. Now she's playing back at North Melbourne in the VFL. And then, look, some of the other ones that caught the eye, obviously, throughout that midfield group, Eleanor Bishop, Naomi Anderson, Ella Mora, Cynthia Hamilton. There's a few there that have really been consistent either through their Giants Academy games or potentially, through the Devils as well. So it's really great to see them all running around there. And Ruby Sargent-Wilson's another one from that Swans Academy to keep an eye on. She was really impressive down at Deakin University. And, Megan Gaffney's another one on the outside who will create some run. And we talked about sort of rucks or key position talents. April Devine is one who stood out for the Swans, so could be that relieving role with Morford between that and going forward. Also kicked a goal against the Falcons. So I think there's quite a few names there, and Hayley McDonald was another one for the Giants, kicked a couple of goals and looked impressive inside 50. So it'll be a tricky sort of situation for the coaches to try and work out a forward line because, as I said, they've got a really strong forward line, plenty of options. So it's going to be really good if they can get it in there with the variety they've got there.
Absolutely. So the list goes on there with the amount of players that Peter Williams is excited to watch, and I am too. So obviously we are used to going up to Queensland for this leg of the championships, but not to be. We're going to be in Victoria to watch these sides. So I guess a good and a bad coming out of it there, Pete?
Yeah, definitely. Like, obviously, we're looking forward to the Queensland trip. Always great to get away and be able to see them up on the Gold Coast, but not to be this year, unfortunately. So instead, they'll obviously be at Werribee and then Trevor Barker Oval, which, as Michael Michael alluded to, is just down the road, which is handy. Rather than catching a plane, we're walking. So a really great time to see the best girl prospects across the nation, and I'm really excited to see what they can produce. And now we're not too far away, so it's going to be great to see how they go up against WA and SA in the next week.
Absolutely, really exciting times, and we're looking very much forward to watching this Allies side and how they combine and get together at the upcoming Under-19 National Championships. But that just about wraps up our coverage of the Allies squad. Stay tuned to all of our social media channels at Draft Central Oz, and of course afl.draftcentral.com.au for all of the coverage of that carnival coming up. But until then, we'll catch you next time.